Welcome to CSB Television. April is National Jazz Appreciation Month, National Poetry Month, National Autism Awareness Month, and International Guitar Month. In the month of April, we will be sharing videos from the past that has anything to do with guitars, autism, poetry, and jazz. Let's take a look at today's video. Talking with people with music in their genes, their blood, and in their soul. You are watching Musical Interlude. Welcome to another episode of Musical Interlude. Today's guest is Tommy Tikka of Tommy Tikka and the Personators. Let's take a listen at his journey in the music business. Okay, first question. Can you tell us if you can remember the very first time or how old you were when you first started to have an interest in music?
I was 6, and I suppose I had music started interesting me a little bit before that. But I remember being 6, and I remember being in my dad's car. It was an old Chevrolet, and we went to get gas. He went inside to pay, as you did in those days. You didn't pay at the pump. And he left the tape on in the car. It was Paul Anka's 21 Golden Hits. And I remember being very impressed by a song called Lonely Boy. And I had listened to music before, but there was something magical about that particular moment. Something happened where I wanted to start writing songs myself. I played a little bit, very sort of knew the very basics of guitar. And when we got home, I remember asking my dad to give me the tape. These were cassettes. You know, nobody has music cassettes anymore. And they were sort of old even then. But I remember taking the tape and the tape player in my room upstairs and playing the heck out of it. And pretty soon then started writing my own stuff, because that's what Paul Anka did. He wrote his own songs. I wanted to be a songwriter. And that's really where it started, you know.
So there are many people out there who have a dream, not necessarily just in music, but they have dreams, but they haven't tried to follow them due to fear, due to discouragement. So what would you say was your driving force to actually go ahead and do this as your career?
Well, it's in the beginning, and in terms of the career, this was a decision I made in my teens. When I was 6, it was a decision to fall in love with music or to write songs. I remember being in my early teens and watching Elvis and Beatles movies. They were reruns. These were old movies even then. And but I was very impressed. I was very impressed with the female attention these guys were getting, and that was the initial pull for me. It sounds very silly, but of course, you know, the thought process of a 16-year-old is silly, you know. And so I figured, you know, I can do that, right? Not a bad job. And really started practicing in terms of playing in front of a crowd. And then as years went on, I fell in love with music and music production, and obviously the reason for my being in it changed drastically. Nobody will stay in music for 30 years if it's just for the female attention. But I got also very lucky. Then the band that I had, Carmen Gray, got signed to Sony BMG, and things started happening. So I think that it was a combination of that initial pull, then falling in love with music, and then of course huge luck.
So being in entertainment business is probably one of the only businesses where everyone in it doesn't have the same story of how they got into it. You know, to be a real estate agent, basically the same thing. To become a doctor, the same thing.
Yeah.
But there really is no how-to books or college on how to get into the music business. So how did you even know where to start, and where did you start?
I didn't know where to start at all. But I remember getting my first very small recording contract when I was 21 with a very small indie label, and nothing came out of it. And but I think that that was the first very professional thing that I did. I'm afraid I wasn't very good at that point. I remember going into a professional studio thinking that I'm a great singer, but not it just not really being able to both sing in tune and project. I think that I could do one or the other, but this is the problem with a lot of first timers in the studio, and I was no exception. But it grew from there, and obviously, even if nothing came out of that, I gained valuable experience, and I kept at it, and and then one day my brother and I started writing songs together for what was originally his band, Carmen Gray. It wasn't called Carmen Gray in the beginning, but we'll call it Carmen Gray now because it's a confusing story. And that collaboration obviously took my songs and our songs, my brother and my songs, to the radio. Also, we got to work with uh, these these world famous producers who've worked with basically Hanoi Rocks and all the incredibly big names. Learned from them. Got to work with professional songwriters to a certain extent. Learned from them. It was a combination of all of this. I think that what it really was, that getting all the breaks at these appropriate intervals and this sort of not just willingness but this passion to learn the trade and to become someone. We were just talking about this with my brother the other day, and I just said that it was incredible because we almost wrote every day. We just was almost like we didn't put the guitars down at all. Nothing else mattered. We were going to make it, and lo and behold, we did.
So, talk about your song "Driving Me Insane." What was the inspiration? Who or what? And if you are afraid you might get in trouble, you don't need to name any
No, it's
specific
okay. I've
names.
always I think that um I've always had very shall we say challenging relationships with with women, in the sense that um and being an old school alpha in these days isn't really very easy. I think that I come from from probably the my dad was a merchant marine, and so I come from that kind of background, and I think that driving me insane was just another relationship that was working at a sexual level perfectly. I don't know if I can say these things on your show, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure.
And okay, and on quite a few other levels, but then the emotional intimacy was just, every once in a while we all get unlucky. If I'm really honest with you, since we're not naming anyone, you kind of you get unlucky enough to get into a relationship with a narcissist, and that's really what the song is about. It's a bunch of painful memories. I think that if anybody listening is in one of these things and is suffering, it just, get out while you can. I was lucky enough to have the self-esteem that I always did. I often wonder how regular people, I'm a regular person, but people who do not get fan email and don't have good reviews and people telling them that, oh yeah, your latest single was great, how they survive these things, because the sole purpose of these individuals is to basically tear other people into pieces. And that's really what the song is about.
Okay. So, your last question: if you could do a collaboration with anyone, whether they be dead or alive, who would it be and why?
I think that it's a couple of I got a couple of folks that I definitely like to work with. I've been asked this before, um, and my mind's always going between Gene Clark of the Byrds, John Lennon, and Paul McCartney. Since McCartney's alive, and I kind of, he's always come across as this incredibly level-headed dude. I'd love to to collaborate with him, to learn from him, to just to be honest with you, to meet him. He's such a huge influence in all possible ways. I think that he's absolutely brilliant. And he, like I said, he comes across as this guy that, you know, if we sat down, had a few drinks, chatted for a while, it'd actually probably be a great night as well. I think it'd be a lot of laughs, you know. And so yeah, definitely Paul McCartney.
McAnthony, I guess that's me. He had Rome, but I'm all alone. I think of you, I feel a fool. You'll never leave your Hallmark fantasy girl or your pedigree. What you do, it's hurting good. You give me love, but you drive me insane. I wish you knew to tell the truth. I've got the blues. You give me love, but you drive me insane. Drive me insane. Drive me insane.
Thank you for watching another episode of the Musical Interlude. That is all we have for you today. Don't forget to subscribe. I'd like to thank our guest, Tommy Tikka, and I'd like to thank you, the audience, for watching. Have a great day. That is all the time we have for you for today. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you again